paglilinaw, hindi pa to batas ha, ito po ay panukala pa lamang ni Senator Imee. So doktora, mismo ang World Health Organization po ang nagsusulong po na ipagbawal na nga ito. Ban on added sugars dito po sa baby food. Pag sinabi po, para ito mga kinakain po ng from 0 daw to 36-month-old baby. So meaning hanggang 3 taon. So let's go through the reasons why. Ano po kaya ang logic at rasyonale nitong pagbabawal na ito, doktora?
So added sugar, anything that's additional to what the body needs, to what the body will need per day, talagang nakakasama siya. Kasi maiimbak siya doon sa katawan. And while sugar in itself is not bad because it can be a source of energy, if it's too much, then it can lead to metabolic issues. It can lead to issues on glucose tolerance. You know, as Asians, as Filipinos, we're already on the, kumbaga, we already have the short end of the stick. Kasi we do have a tendency to have a higher risk for developing diabetes. So studies do show that the younger that you introduce additional sugars to the bodies of children will increase the risk for diabetes and obesity. So this is why, as pediatricians in the Philippine Pediatric Society, we do recommend and we do support and we do promote breastfeeding, particularly in the first 6 months of life, exclusively and beyond. Bakit? Kasi tama lang yung amount ng sugar na meron siya in breast milk. The body will self-adjust and tama lang yung amounts of sugar that you will be able to, that the infant's body will be able to get. With infant formula, that's part of the risks. While I understand that for some, not every mother, not every child is able to get that benefit of breastfeeding, unfortunately. The additional sugars as young as 0 months, meaning from birth, is already putting the infant's body, the infant's health at risk because of additional sugar. So, I do welcome that if there's any law that should pass that should limit the amount of sugars. Now, when we're talking about infant food, I will say that solid foods or complementary feeding should begin at 6 months of age and not before. Although we know that there are companies that try to push infant feeding in the guise of trying to get the parents, to lull the parents into, well, if you feed your child at an earlier age, then you allow them to sleep for longer. Eh, alam mo, kung first-time parent ka at medyo nasa end of your wits ka na kasi wala nang ibang ginawa kundi umiyak yung bata at hindi siya mapirme, talagang you will grasp at straws and try whatever the marketing is telling you. But we know for a fact that feeding before the proper timing, which is around 6 months of life, also has detrimental effects on the child. Merong children that need to be fed earlier, pero may certain medical reasons yun. So, in general, any well baby should be fed starting at 6 months old. And when we do feed the infants, when we advise feeding for infants, we do tell them that, number one, wala nga dapat seasoning which includes sugars and salts. Kasi dapat kung ano yung sugars na meron sa vegetables or sa fruits that we advise the parents, yun lang dapat ang laman.
Okay, so bland ang in other words. I was going to ask nga, doktora, ano ba yung tolerable amount of sugar, no? Kasi apparently nga that's why they're pushing for this bill is so that to regulate na add on sugar, add on nga. Pero ang tanong ko is, meron bang FDA-approved na number of grams of sugar for like baby formula or for yung mga soft food, for baby food na acceptable naman? Because I don't know how it's going to taste, no, if it's bland. Or talagang you really recommend zero sugar, zero salt, not even for taste?
There's no official guidance so far. Kasi to get an official guidance, you need to have sufficient studies. And so far, data kasi in what are the hard and fast measurements for the amount of sugars in the food, wala pa talaga.
Okay.
However, when we're talking about, if we're talking about amounts, it is about, on the average, 15 to 19 grams of free sugars. Free sugar meaning as in talagang this is sugar that is not part of, hindi siya yung sugar na galing sa fruit or galing sa vegetable or galing sa grain. So free sugars is additional sugar. And this is at age 4 and up. So if you can imagine from 0 to 4, walang hard and fast rule for that.
Yeah.
But usually, this is why we really don't recommend additional sugars in that age range from 0 to 4. While we recognize that, it's at that age na talagang
Yung mga candy,
talaga marketing yung mga candy talaga, yun talaga yung and in fact additional starches, yung mga starchy foods, yan yung mga gustong kinakain ng kids but we have to remember that starch gets broken down into sugars as well.
Let's get together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.